Okay, first question for the Chapter 1 test. Select the algebraic expression that represents the verbal expression 5 increased by 7 times a number. 5 increased by 7 times a number, or using the commutative property, it's equal to this, which is letter D. Next one, evaluate a minus y squared plus 2y cubed if a is equal to 2 and y equals negative 3. So I'm just going to put in 2 for a, negative 3 for y, and now it's just a matter of simplifying. 2 minus negative 3 is 2 plus 3, squared is 25. Negative 3 cubed, negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 is negative 27, times 2 is negative 54, which is equal to negative 29. Next one, evaluate if a is negative 2 and b is 6. So again, I'm just going to put in a and b and simplify. Negative 2 minus 18 is negative 20. Absolute value of negative 20 is positive 20. So the answer is negative 20. Next, the formula a equals 180 times n minus 2 over n relates the measure a of an angle, interior angle of a regular polygon, to the number of sides, n. If an interior angle measures 120, find n, or the number of sides. So one thing I can do here is go ahead and multiply both sides by n to get it out of the denominator. Then distribute. Subtract. And divide. And negative 360 over negative 60 is positive 6. Next, name the sets of numbers to which negative 28 belongs. Well, negative 28 is an integer, a rational number, and a real number. Letter D. Number 6. Simplify 1/3 x. Now 1/3 of 6x plus 3 minus 4 times 3x minus 2. So I'm going to distribute and distribute. 1/3 of 6 is 2x. 1/3 of 3 is 1. Negative 4 times 3x is negative 12x. Negative 4 times negative 2 is positive 8. That becomes negative 10x plus 9. Letter A. Name the property. Well, associative property, the association changes, but in this problem the association didn't. It's still 9 plus 1 that's associated. So what's happening is 7 is multiplied by 9 plus 1, and then 9 plus 1 is multiplied by 7. So the order changed, which tells us it's the commutative property, and it's the commutative property of multiplication. Next one, 2 over 5y equals 3 over 14. Easiest way is just to cross multiply. 28 is 15y, and then divide by 15. Y is equal to 28 over 15. If you didn't know to do that, you could multiply both sides by 5y to get 2 equals 15y over 14, then multiply by the reciprocal, to get 28 over 15. Same answer, two different ways to do it. Next, number 9. I kind of emphasized this when we were going through the review, that you can't set up your two equations of an absolute value until you've isolated the absolute value. I had several people distribute the 3 into the absolute value. And absolute value is not parentheses. You can't do that. You have to isolate the absolute value first. So on this one, the way to isolate is to just divide both sides by 3. Then I get the absolute value by itself. Now I can set up my two equations and solve. So 1 or 9 was the answer there. Number 10. This one just is to solve. Distribute the 3 and subtract 3x. I'll add 3 to get 12x equals 6. So x is 1/2. Let's see, Brooklyn, if I can find.
Thank you.
Okay, number 11. Once again, I must isolate the absolute value before I can set up two equations. So I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. And now I can set up my two equations. So y is 17, or y is -1, which is letter C. Number 12. Two sides of a triangle are equal lengths, so I'm just going to call them both x. The length of the third side is 3 meters less than the sum of the lengths. So I have x plus x is the sum of those two, which is 2x, and it's 3 meters less. The perimeter is equal to 29, so x plus 2x minus 3 equals 29. Solve for the longest side. Well, when I get x figured out, that's going to be this side. I need to figure out what this side is. So I'm going to get 4x minus 3 is 29. Add 3. So I know that the two sides are equal to 8 meters. I'm going to plug 8 in here. 2 times 8 is 16 minus 3. The longest side is 13 meters. Solve each inequality. Then distribute the 3. I'm going to add those two together, which is 48. Negative 3r is greater than or equal to negative 39. And when I divide by negative, I've got to flip the sign. Now it's positive. So r is less than or equal to, where am I at? No, it's negative.
Should be C.
Yeah, it's C. No, it's A. It should be A. Because it's negative 39 over negative 3.
Oh, you can't do that.
Yeah, so it's positive 13. So it's less than or equal to positive 13, letter A. Yeah.
On this, it says that.
Yeah, I was wrong, but I still gave you half a point, so.
I forgot it to check.
Okay, now I'm on to number 14. Negative 2 less than 4z plus 10 less than or equal to 12. So I'm going to subtract 10, and I get negative 12 less than 4z less than or equal to 2. Then divide by 4. Negative 3 less than z less than or equal to 1/2. So that one is letter C. Next one. 2x minus 5 is less than or equal to 10, or 33 minus 4x is less than 5. So 2x is less than or equal to 5, x, is that right? 15, sorry. X is less than or equal to 15 halves, or 7.5. Or negative 4x is less than negative 28. Divide by the negative 4, flip the sign, x is greater than 7. If you graph this, I have x greater than 7 and less than or equal to 7.5, and it's an or. So all real numbers meet this criteria. This is just like the quiz question we had. Next one, again, I have to isolate the absolute value. By dividing by 3. And now I can set up my two equations. Sorry, 4 greater than 2 and m minus 4 less than negative 2. So m is greater than 6 and m is less than 2. So that would be B. Less than 2, greater than 6. Number 17. Just set up my two equations. And 9. So W is less than or equal to 3, or 5/3. So 5/3 is less than 3. So it's greater than 5/3, less than 3. It's between the two. That's letter A. 18. Identify the graph of the solution set of 8.5 greater than 6.1 plus 0.6y. So I'm going to subtract 6.1 to get 2.4 is greater than 0.6y.
Computer runners at this time. Good luck.
Divide by 0.6. And I get 4 is greater than y, which is the same as y is less than 4. Yeah, good luck. Y is less than 4 is letter D. And then we're on number 19. Convert 6 yards to inches. So that would be yards on the bottom, feet on the bottom, inches, and there are 3 feet in a yard, 12 inches in a foot. Multiply across, you get 216. Just make sure your units cancel. 216. Number 20, solve for A. Couple couple ways to do this. The long way is to go ahead and distribute. Minus 55/7. Whoops. And then I add 55/7 to B. And then I multiply A by the reciprocal. And this is the whole thing. So I get 5/7 B plus 7/5 here. Sorry. Plus 55/5, which if I use a common denominator is just 7B plus 55 over 5. But the shorter way to do this problem would have been just to multiply the reciprocal before I distribute to get 7/5 B equals A minus 11. Add 11. And I know that's not any of the choices, but if I split this into two fractions, this is 7/5 plus 55/5, which is 11. And then, so that was letter A. And then the bonus. So this is an and because of the way it's written, the compound. There's no or between the two. And I've got to solve. So I get 4 less than or equal to negative x less than negative 12. Divide by negative 1, 1. And when I do that, I have to flip the signs and then graph. So I've got negative 4 and 12. X has to be greater than 12 and less than negative 4. Not possible. There's no number that exists that meets both of these. Right? Because it started as an and. So if you'd graph that, you could have seen this. The answer was there's no solution.
Oh.
So just because you got this far, if you don't understand there's no solution, then you don't get the bonus. Because you have to be able to interpret what your answer is, and their answer was no solution. Questions on the test? A lot of you, the couple of the problems that you missed, with those absolute values, you distributed into the absolute value and then solved. And you can't do that. I think I said it in the review 3 or 4 times. You must isolate the absolute value before you solve for it. Absolute value signs are not the same as parentheses. You don't just distribute a number into the absolute value. You have to get rid of that number and then set your two equations up. A lot of your mistakes were just same mistakes Alex is making now. Signs, just small errors. Maybe you're in a hurry and you don't add when you're supposed to subtract or whatever. Just small, silly errors. But overall, scores were decent. Okay, the grades are in Canvas, and I updated all grades yesterday for the progress reports because we had to do that by 4. So, but you still have an opportunity to retake if you want to.
Yeah, I gotta use it.
Mm-hmm.